Hi everybody, Golden Era Bookworm here, and today we are going to look at George Eiferman's bench press specialization routine, which he used to both grow his massive chest but also expand his ribcage. And judging by this awesome photo of George Eiferman and others, we can see that George indeed developed a phenomenal ribcage, just like many Silver Era bodybuilders did back in the day. Now, if you think I was teasing with the title, well, you are wrong, because George Eiferman in fact believed the bench press was such a fundamental exercise that he would perform it, or at least a variety of it, every workout. At least that's what he claimed. And in this video, we are going to look at the bench press variations George Eiferman would use, even to expand his ribcage. So let's get straight into the exercises George used to develop his phenomenal chest. Back in the Silver Era, the standard bench press was performed with a barbell on a flat bench. However, the wide grip variation was also used, in particular to spread and deepen the rib box. In performing the wide grip bench press, the chest was raised high and full, and the movement more or less looked somewhat like a dumbbell fly. As Eiferman and others stated, it also allowed one to promote muscle growth between the front deltoid and the upper pectorals, called the shoulder pectoral tie-in. Later on in the Golden Era, this method was also used by the likes of Arnold Schwarzenegger early and late in his career. This variation is still used to some degree by powerlifters, as it decreases the distance the bar needs to travel between the chest and the lockout position at the top. To perform this exercise for ribcage expansion, you really can't approach it with the same mentality as one when hitting a bench press. The movement should primarily be directed by the protraction and retraction of your scapula, and not by pressing, so to speak. In doing so, the exercise has an effect where the ribcage gets pulled out laterally, as opposed to the pullover that stretches our ribcage from the top to bottom direction. Now, if you want a full demonstration of this and other old school exercises, please join my school community where I completely break down the anatomy and kinesiology of this movement in my old school gym with equipment from that era, so you gain a deep understanding of how this movement is correctly performed without the risk of injury. Looking at some variations now, as many of us already know, the close grip bench press is an excellent variation for stimulating the triceps muscle, as well as stimulating growth in the anterior head of the deltoid and the inner center of the pectorals. Now, the reverse grip bench press. Here is a relatively uncommon and almost forgotten variation of the bench press that really stimulates the growth in the triceps, specifically hitting the long head of the triceps. The only person that I know that really performs it diligently nowadays is Mike O'Hearn. However, Eiferman back then cautioned that this exercise can be potentially dangerous due to the grip, and I would therefore caution you as well to perform this exercise in a power rack for safety, or you can even use a chest press machine. As long as there is a safety element involved in the method that you're using, you shouldn't have an issue performing this exercise. Dumbbell presses, of course, allow a greater range of motion, as one can drop the dumbbells down below the line of the chest. These can, of course, be done on either a flat bench or incline bench, with the incline bench stimulating the deltoids as well as the chest muscles. Regarding sets and reps, well, George Eiferman stated that this depended on the goal at hand. For example, for those looking at building strength and bulk, he would recommend that one perform lower repetitions, under 10 for example, for higher sets, such as 5 or so sets, whilst those wishing to obtain greater definition perform higher repetitions above 10 for lower sets like 2 or 3 sets. For steady gains, 3 sets of 10 repetitions would suffice. So that was George Eiferman's bench press specialization routine, and if you are interested in learning how to perform each exercise correctly, please join my school community where you will find demonstrations and full explanations for each exercise, as well as numerous old school bodybuilding courses not found anywhere else, including courses from the bronze era such as muscle control, the light dumbbell system, and chest expander courses, as well as those from the silver era like the 20 rep squat, Reg Park's different 5x5 programs, as well as golden era courses like Vince Gironda's and Larry Scott's bodybuilding systems, all on my school community. This community continues to grow, and I constantly upload new courses for you to learn from. To join, click the link in the description. Now, learning George's routine is fun, but imagine what happens when you actually apply these principles with modern science backing you up. That's exactly what I do with my one-to-one online coaching. You'll get a personalized program, nutrition that is tailored to you, and a health-first approach that includes a full lab analysis. This is how I've helped men drop 30 up to 60 pounds, build muscle, and reclaim their health without any gimmicks. If you want to see if you qualify, click the link in the description and apply today. Spots are limited. So if you want to dive deeper, join my school community, and if you're ready to completely transform your body and health, apply for my coaching in the link below. If you've enjoyed the video, please give the video a like, subscribe, and leave me your comments. That's it from me. This is the Golden Era Bookworm saying bye for now and see you in the next video. Head to www.goldenerabookworm.com for the biggest range of classic old school bodybuilding books as ebooks, e-magazines such as Ironman and Reg Park Journal, high quality bodybuilding posters of the Golden Era stars, merchandise and classic gymwear featuring Steve Reeves, Marvin Eder, John Grimmick, Reg Park, and many other Golden Era stars. For those wishing to build a classic physique, lose fat, and build muscle, online training is also available. Collectibles such as rare autographed photos from the Golden Era stars are also available, and to collaborate, please get in touch. Now, if you're interested in learning more about Vince Gironda's approach to bodybuilding, his principles, and all these tips of wisdom that he has, I mean, there's so much stuff that probably hasn't been proven by science, and it will take science to prove or disprove Vince. But to be honest, these 3 books, I believe, which I call the Classic Physique Bundle, are the best books that Vince ever came out with. And they, of course, are the Wild Physique, the Master Series, and the Pro Series. Have a look at it this way. The Wild Physique, I believe, is like the ABCs of Vince Gironda's principles to bodybuilding. He teaches you the exercises and his principles. But how do you put them together? Well, the Master Series is a 14-month program of using all of these principles, all of the diets that Vince came out with, all of the exercises. And of course, the Pro Series was a book that he came out with later on, specially targeted for getting into competition. It's just these 3 books, as I call it, the Classic Physique Bundle, are Vince's best work, and available, of course, at www.goldenerabookworm.com.